What's going on YouTube? This is Sean. I am back again, and in this video we're going to be working on the harness for my Deadpool cosplay. And it basically consists of the belt, the pouches, this medallion looking thingy, and the sheath for the swords. Now I did cheat a little bit on the pieces right here. If you're wondering how did I get it to cut so perfectly round and so accurate, well, I designed the pieces on Adobe Illustrator and I sent it to my laser CNC and cut it out. And you're probably thinking, well, Sean, we don't have a laser CNC, so how are we supposed to do this? Well, use a razor blade, or you can cough up $1,000 for a CNC machine. I think that's what I paid for mine. Now some of you guys are probably thinking, man, $1,000 is a lot. I'm just gonna stick to my razor blade. Now I cut the little red disc right there for I guess tutorial purpose. You know what, I really don't have a good reason why I did it. I just did it because it was red and I thought it would look cool. But after gluing everything together, I looked at it and I was like, you know what, I could have just cut the ring and the X and then painted the inside red. Yeah, but you know what, I already did it, so I might as well just go with the flow. Now you want to make sure all your pieces are at its correct orientation, because you don't want your pieces to be all crickety. Now I'm going to move along to working on the pouches. I'm cutting up some 5mm craft foam, and it's basically like an inch wide and a few inches long. These are going to be for the side of the pouches, and if you're going to make, I don't know, 4 pouches, then you're gonna need about 8 of these. So yeah, let's repeat this process 7 more times, since I'm gonna make 4 pouches. Now I did use 5mm for the side pieces, but I'm going to use 3mm. It could be 2, I'm not quite sure, but I don't think that's big of a difference. But I went ahead and cut the I guess the front and the back pieces like that. You can just make your sizes however you want, but I decided to make my pouches about 2 inches wide, just big enough to fit business cards on there, because you know, when I'm at the conventions I like to hand out business cards so people there can, you know, follow me on all my social network, and maybe even tell them about my YouTube channel, because yeah, why not, right? So as for the side pieces, which is the 5mm pieces, I glued the edges, and for the 2 or 3mm pieces, I went and glued the surface just like that. And I'm going to apply the 2 side pieces and wrap the man, what do you call that piece? The body? The front? The back? Let's call it front and back to side. Well, anywho, once you get it all glued together, it should look something like this, and you can basically do any size you want. And I'm going to cut out some slots in the back here, which is going to fit onto my belt. And I'm using a nylon utility belt that you can pick up from Home Depot for about $4. And it has nothing on it, just the belt and the buckle. And now that I finished cutting out the slots for the belt with a wood burner, I'm going to apply these little snap buttons that I picked up from Walmart at a really cheap price. I don't really remember how much it cost, but I do have this item listed in my Amazon store, so if that's what you're into, then you should go check it out. It comes with 100 buttons and the tool and that stabbing device that you saw me use a while ago. And this tool is pretty easy to use. You just put on the backing, and then you put on the front, and you just press it on there and squeeze it down, and you repeat the process over again. But instead of using the exact same button, you want to use the corresponding button, kind of like a male to female thingy. Yeah. Now when using one of these tools, you want to make sure that you squeeze it down really nice, and you basically smush that center piece down really well so that the button will hold together, because the last thing you want to do is your buttons fall apart. But then I honestly think that the foam would tear before the buttons come apart, because this is 2mm craft foam, and that snap button can hold pretty tightly. Or you can use some thicker craft foam for the front and the back pieces. Now let's move along to the rest of the belt harness. Now I found these buckles at Hobby Lobby and Walmart for like $4, and these nylon straps were a few more dollars. And I was thinking, well, it'd been cheaper if I just went to Home Depot and bought the actual belt, utility belt there. But I'm actually using that other utility belt for my Batman Beyond cosplay. And you're probably wondering, well, you never made a video on the utility belt for Batman Beyond. Well, that's because I 3D printed the pouch and the belt buckle, and I know how some of you guys feel about me using 3D printing and my CNC laser and anything high-tech. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make a video on that because I think it's a really cool belt and it's worth sharing. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding these little snap buttons to the, I guess, end of the belt. And this is going to hold my belt buckle down. And you're probably wondering why I'm not sewing it. Well, you can sew it if you want, but since I have these little button maker thingies laying out, I might as well go ahead and add these buttons on there. Now notice that I'm using that little green pick thingy so I can punch the holes in there, because these plastic little buttons, they're not strong enough to puncture through nylon straps. And it actually comes with a kit, so I'm pretty sure there's a reason why they added that, right? Now I kind of messed up right here because my belt buckle won't slip on because the button's too fat. So I had to go around and do it on the other side, which was no biggie. Problem solved. It's just cosplay, bro. And you want to make sure that you have it on the right side, and I don't think there is a wrong side with this side of the buckle, but yeah, it should look something like this. And that thing is on there, and you can actually remove the buckle if you like, because you use snap buttons. Now it's time to install these pouches onto the nylon strap, and I'm going to put it on accordingly. Since I did make the pouches in various sizes, notice that the outer pouches are smaller or bigger than the inner pouches. And here's my belt buckle. I'm adding some Velcro to the backside, that way the upper harness piece can strap to that, and you'll see here later on in the video what I'm talking about. So far so groovy, and my Deadpool belt is starting to look pretty legit. Now it's time to add the male part of the buckle on there, and you can actually do this on the reverse side, but I decided to do it this way so I can tuck it underneath the one of the pouches, because you know, sometimes my belly will stretch in the middle of a convention or photo shoot or whatever, actually after I eat. But yeah, notice how I took the heat gun and I closed the pores of the craft foam, and it gave it a little bit of shine, so I might not even paint it. I'll paint the belt buckle though, but probably not the pouches. But that's just lazy me talking. So here are the patterns for the sword holder. Now I'm not going to make any swords this time. I'm using some swords that I made in a previous Deadpool video, which was probably like 2 years ago, I think. Now this pattern has inner patterns, so I'm going to start by cutting out the outer patterns first. And I'm going to need 3 of these. I'm cutting it out on some mat board, which is like really strong cardboard. Or poster board, not cardboard, but you can probably use cardboard too. It's gonna be a whole lot thicker. Then after I'm done cutting out the 3 pieces, I went ahead and cut the patterns up and used some 6mm EVA foam for the separator pieces. Well, you kind of see where I'm going with this. So I'm basically gonna sandwich these EVA foam in between the mat boards, just like that, and I want to apply some more glue. And then I have one more piece that is basically a divider, which I'm going to glue right on top of that, and then take the other piece and glue that on, and it should look like a sword disc holding thingy. Now the gap there is about 1.5 inches, and the swords that I'm using is about 1.25 inches. So it gave me a little bit of play for, you know, sliding the swords in and out. But yeah, now it does look kind of rough around the edges, so I'm gonna have to take it to my belt sander and smoothen things out a little bit. But before I do that, I might as well cut out the excess foam. It means less work at the sander. And now some of you guys are probably thinking, Son, what if we don't have a belt sander? I mean, we don't have all those cool toys you do. What do you do now? Well, take some sandpaper, glue it onto some EVA foam, and use your elbow and wrist. But yeah, it should look something like this once it's all sanded down. Now it's time to move along to the straps that's going to go around the, I guess, the shoulders. And it's going to connect to the medallion thingy that I made earlier. And it's going to connect to the sheath or sword holder, whatever you want to call it. Now I went and took my wood burner and I did this little stitch looking thingy. Basically added a little bit of detail to the straps just so that it didn't look so boring. And I mocked it up on the suit just to see what it looks like. Then I'm gonna glue it to the sword holder, and notice I put some Velcro on the backside. That's going to actually attach to the actual armor itself, so it doesn't like flop around everywhere. And here are the swords that I made in a previous video from like 2 years ago. So this is how it's going to attach to the armor. And some of you guys are probably thinking, Sean, how short are you compared to this mannequin? Well, the question you should be asking is, how tall is this mannequin? Because it's like 6 foot tall, and it's on its tippy toes on a platform. Yeah, so I'm really not that short. I am 5'2" and 3/4 inch tall. But I'm not trying to be all specific and all. Well guys, there you have it. My Deadpool cosplay is just about done. But anyways, yeah, if you're into this kind of stuff, I mean, if you're really into it, I'm not going to peer pressure you, but the templates are going to be available. Check the links in the description down below. Hit that like button if you feel like you got something out of this video. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already subscribed. Follow me on all my social network. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. And I guess that's it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.